It's often claimed that neon screwdrivers are dangerous, and I'm wondering how dangerous they actually are. This is a Wera neon screwdriver that comes in their screwdriver sets. It's rated 50 to 500 Hertz, 150 to 250 volts. I don't know why they include it in their sets. It seems a bit superfluous to me, but there you go. There are two questions. Does this do anything useful? And is it inherently unsafe? We have an extension lead coming in here. It's currently live. You can see when it's connected into the socket there, it does glow very slightly. And if I touch my ungrounded workbench, it gets brighter. So that's with me just stood here. That's me touching the workbench. And that is me touching one of the sockets on the wall. Workbench, wall socket. And the thing is, if you're up a ladder or whatever, you're probably not likely to see that. There's also an accusation that you could get an electric shock through one of these. And on the face of it, I can see how you could make that argument. Because if you measure the voltage at the end of it between neutral and phase, you do get a fairly hefty voltage. However, that's not as bad as it would initially seem. I've now brought another meter along and put it in place of the screwdriver. We have phase coming out into the voltage input of the meter, out of the common to the meter to this pokey bit. And if I go on to the earth there, you'll see it's reading 240 volts. But I can also then plug it into the other meter, and you'll see that both of them read over 100 volts, which is enough to give you a bit of a tingle. So the voltage indicator pen isn't really doing anything massively different from you just touching the other end of the pokey bit. This is just by way of comparison for some tests I'm going to be doing in a minute with the screwdriver. Input impedance of my does a bit of everything meter is on low voltage mode, 11 megaohms. So yeah, it's pretty consistently 10 megaohms on all of the high voltage tests. We're now back with the screwdriver. On the low voltage test, reading off scale. At 50 volts, reading off scale and not glowing at all. At 100 volts, it's starting to glow and reading 2 megaohms. 250, it's glowing pretty brightly and reading 1.3 megaohms. 500, it's glowing very brightly and reading just over 1. And finally, at 1000 volts, it's still reading just over 1 and glowing very brightly indeed. The screwdriver is rated between 150 and 250 volts AC, 50 to 500 Hertz. But clearly it will work on the DC that the meter puts out. The difference in readings at the different voltages is due to the way the neon works. It's not a resistor. Now for the final test, you'll notice that this is rated IP54. I've never seen an IP rated screwdriver before, but I've got a tray here with some high quality Suffolk tap juice in it. And yeah, we'll see if that makes any difference. I guess we should start by just seeing what the resistance of the water is. Oh, well, that's not going to give us very exciting information, is it? Okay, well, that's a fail because I can't I can't just submerge it. I'll be just measuring the resistance of the water. Let's just get it wet then, I suppose. See how wet it gets inside. Let's take that off before I poke myself with it. IP54 obviously isn't waterproof. It's not claiming to be. It's just splash proof in all directions. Okay, I don't know whether that's actually full of water or not. Despite being submerged, that doesn't seem to have made any difference at all. Well, that's mildly disappointing, really. In conclusion, then, is one of these dangerous? Probably not. Is it useful? As anything other than a screwdriver? Probably not. Am I going to keep it on my desk for when I need a screwdriver? Yep. One final thought before I go away. How does the voltage screwdriver compare with the socket tester? Back to 250-ish volts. 1.3. Much lower. Much lower. Well, did you ever? Does that actually work? Yeah, it works fine. Yeah. Actually, this is going to make no difference at all, is it? Because it's current limited rather than voltage limited. Oh, there's a very brief flash when you turn it on, look. There's a very, very brief flash as you turn it on. Fascinating. Maybe I'll have to take one of these apart and see what's inside. Would that be interesting? Who knows? Might be interesting for me. That's the most important thing, isn't it?